This program provides education, not advice. Sponsors pay a fee for endorsements and interviews. See the truthayf.com disclosure page for details.
This is where technology, innovation, and personal finance come together.
This is the truth about your future with Rick Edelman. Brought to you by Global X ETFs, dedicated to providing investors with unexplored intelligent solutions. And by Presidio, offering a digital vault where you can collect, protect, and share all your important people, places, things, and documents with all the key people in your life. Start for free at Presidio.com.
It's Thursday, September 14th. Back in August, I interviewed Matt Bartell of Barron's. He heads the top advisors ranking, and he told us how Barron's identifies the nation's top advisors. The link to that broadcast is in the show notes. Stephen wrote in and he said, Rick, during your podcast with Matt, you discussed the range of services that investment advisors can and should provide to their clients. Can you say more about these services, the services that every advisor should provide? This would be helpful to both advisors and their clients. It's a good idea, Steve. By the way, if you want to do what Steve did, you can write to me too. Write a note to askrick@thetayf.com. The link to do so is in the show notes. So let me answer your question, Steve. What is it that advisors ought to be doing for their clients? Well, first, let's begin with what it is that advisors are charging their clients. Most charge an AUM fee, assets under management, typically 1 to 2% of assets. So if you have $1 million account, the fee is, call it $10,000. Now, it's pretty clear that most people turn to most financial advisors because they mostly want help with their investment management. But there's a lot more to personal finance than just investments. So if you're a financial advisor and all you're giving your clients is investment advice, you should probably prepare to get fired. Investing is now a commodity. It's pretty much available everywhere, really, really cheap. So you need to do more than just investment management to justify your fee. Oh, for sure, in the world of investment management, you need to be doing everything a client either can't or won't do on their own, building a diversified asset allocation model, finding great investments to fill that model, rebalancing the portfolio periodically, engaging in tax loss harvesting. Sure, that's what you need to be delivering for the investment management piece. And in fact, maybe that's all your clients say they want. Fine. But even if that's all your clients say they want, you know they need more than that. As an advisor, you need to be delivering more than that. You need to be delivering financial planning. In other words, if you ask somebody, why did you make that investment? You get an obvious kind of a dumb answer to a dumb question. Why did I buy that investment? So that it would go up in value. Well, okay, but how much does it have to go up? It's not enough that you're trying to make your money grow. You got to have a target. You got to have a goal in mind. How often do you get in the car and have absolutely no idea where you're going? We begin with a goal. That's why we go to college. My goal is to get a degree in a given field, right? We need to do the same thing with our investments. Why are you buying that investment? It's to produce X amount of money at X age. That's what financial planning is. We want to plan for our financial future. How much money are you going to need at retirement in order to sustain your lifestyle for as long as you're likely to live? How do we make sure you're protected against the cost of health care, long-term care, that we're dealing with other related issues associated with this? That's what financial planning is all about. And in fact, it goes far beyond just basic financial planning. We're talking about related elements such as home ownership and mortgages. How much of a house can you afford? Should you pay cash for that house? How much are you going to put down as opposed to getting on a mortgage? What kind of a mortgage should you be getting? Fixed rate loan, an adjustable rate loan? How long should the term be? A 15-year loan or a 30-year loan? How about automobiles? Should you buy your next car or lease it? How about cash reserves? How much do you need in cash reserves? Where should that money be maintained? What about your credit cards and existing debts? How do you manage those? Clearly, there's a lot to be engaged in the subject of financial planning. And then we can get into very specific subjects. College planning, wedding planning, and estate planning. College planning is essential because it's every parent's biggest fear. We all know that the average cost of college today is higher than ever, $100,000 to $200,000. We know that the average student emerges with $30,000 of student loan debt, $1.7 trillion owed by 40 million households around the country. How do you make sure your child gets the degree they want without being saddled with the debt that they don't want? College planning is an essential part of financial planning these days. Related to that is career planning. How do we make sure the child's going to get a degree in a field that it's going to exist in 10 years with technological innovation? Related to that, wedding planning. If you think about it, a wedding is nothing more than a 4-hour party. Do you really want to spend $50,000 or $150,000 on that 4-hour party? Some say, sure, absolutely. Others say no, but I'll simply tell you this. The average bride says, I want the wedding. And the average wife says, I wish I took that money and used it as a down payment on a house instead. Think about wedding planning as a key element of the services a financial advisor can provide. And then there's estate planning. This comes down to only a few simple issues. Number one, most predominant, who gets what? When you pass, who gets all of your assets? Surviving spouse? Surviving children and grandchildren? Charities? What if there's an estranged member of the family? What if you have a special needs child? What if you have a child who spends more time in rehab or jail, or someone who's a spendthrift, or someone who's married to someone who is putting them in a troubled marriage where you might end up giving money to an ex-daughter-in-law only to discover that you never see the grandchildren again? Estate planning can get very complicated when you begin to consider the family and the intergenerational planning that goes along with it. And that's why estate planning is a fundamentally important topic for financial advisors. Related to all that is the notion that when it comes to making money, it's not the money you make that matters, it's the money you keep that matters. I'm talking about taxes. It's not enough to make money. We want to minimize the taxes. Make sure you're paying every cent you owe under the law, but not a penny more. For wealthier clients, the conversation can get even more complicated. Wealthier clients tend to own businesses, and you've got all of those attendant issues. They often have second properties, even yachts and aircraft. You might need to provide these folks concierge services, helping with everything from concert tickets to dog walking. The best advisors help their clients with everything associated with a dollar sign. The best advisors work with the best firms. You'll find these lists of the top advisors and the top firms at Barron's. And yeah, in case you need to be reminded, Barron's named me the #1 independent advisor in the nation 3 times, and they named Edelman Financial the #1 firm in the nation 6 times, including in 2023. And yeah, I'm also in the Barron's Advisor Hall of Fame. You know, I like to talk about the things that matter most, so I encourage you to listen to my wife Jean's podcast, Self-Care with Jean Edelman. Her new weekly episode comes out today. Jean shares her experience and knowledge with you on self-care, mindfulness, and overall wellness. You can listen to Jean everywhere you get your podcasts, and you can also subscribe to selfcarewithjean.com. The link is in the show notes. I'm Rick Edelman. See you tomorrow.
Looking to add AI to your portfolio? Consider the Global X Robotics and Artificial Intelligence ETF, ticker BOTZ. This ETF invests in companies harnessing robotics and AI disruption across a range of sectors like industrials, healthcare, and more. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Technology companies can be affected by rapid product obsolescence and intense industry competition. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in the full or summary prospectus at globalxetfs.com. Read carefully. Distributed by SEI Investments Distribution Company.
The Truth About Your Future with Rick Edelman is sponsored by Charles Schwab. Schwab believes every investor deserves to work with a firm they can count on. That's why Schwab has 400 local branches with financial consultants ready to serve you, along with professional answers and 24/7 live help. And it's backed by Schwab's Satisfaction Guarantee. If you are not completely satisfied, Schwab will reimburse eligible fees related to your concern. Visit schwab.com/satisfaction to learn what's included and how it works. Charles Schwab. Own your tomorrow.
The information you need to plan for the tomorrow you want.
This is The Truth About Your Future with Rick Edelman.